Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about something called summit fever. It happened to me when I was climbing or trekking on my own in Italy, in a mountain in Italy called Rocciamelone. I've possibly mispronounced that, so please correct me if you know I'm incorrect on that pronunciation. And this video is going to be all about what happened there. Stick around to the end. I'm going to talk about a very good book that you should read if you're into trekking, mountaineering, climbing, any of those things. Then you should definitely read this book, so stick around to the end for that. So in November 2015, I wanted to find somewhere that I could use I had some winter skills that I'd obtained from a course relatively recently. We'd learned how to brake in snow and how to move through snow, and skills like that. I wanted to try them out, and I wanted to try them out in an environment that wasn't too risky. So I wasn't going to go to Mont Blanc, but equally the local football field covered in snow probably wasn't going to quite do it either. So I was searching around the internet for somewhere that was kind of suitable, and I came across a place that is actually used as a race area by Red Bull sometimes in the summer, I think, called Rocciamelone, which is an Italian mountain, just over 3,500 meters, which is relatively achievable. It's fine. I have been at altitude before, though that was the highest altitude I've been at that time, so I thought it was an achievable goal. It had some ice and snow, but not all the way up. It wasn't into the kind of depths of winter like December, January yet, so I thought it was a relatively sensible time to go. I hired an ice axe, and I hired a helmet, and made sure that I had all those things. I had my own boots, and I hired crampons as well. Obviously, let people know where I was going. I'm to the point where I'm trying to be self-sufficient, where I'm trying to take my own first aid kit, take my own survival kit, have travel insurance, all those things that you're supposed to do if you don't want to get stranded on a mountain or have to pay £1,000 for someone to rescue you off of the mountain. So I thought I was really well prepared, and I was a little bit proud of myself, perhaps a little bit too much. So in November 2015, I travelled there. I stayed in a kind of little family place. It was a little few rooms. It seemed really nice, and the family were really nice. It was just like mother, father, and the son was like the chef. And it was in a lovely little village that was just under Rocciamelone, and I really loved spending the evening kind of looking up and seeing what I was going to spend the next day doing. I was really excited. I didn't take into account the fact that my room was directly under a church tower, which for some unknown reason chimed on the hour every hour throughout the night. So I was like, great, thanks life. So I woke up, I was a little bit frazzled, I'm going to admit, but I still woke up and I was still planning to do it. I'm not using that as any excuse at all. When I started the trek, I was really excited. I always love those first few moments when you're starting out on a trek, when you're starting out on an adventure, and you're thinking anything could happen. I've got the world in front of me, and I can make my own adventure happen here. And as long as I'm strong, as long as I can see it through and look after myself, this is going to be amazing. I was doing it on my own. Like I say, I wanted to be a little bit independent. So as far as I could see, there were two other people on the actual mountain with me. There was an older guy who was he started at the same time as me, but he was out of sight almost immediately. He was so fit and so strong, and he just zoomed up the mountain, and I was like, okay, so you're gone. All right. So I was trudging up by myself. Yes, it is difficult. Yes, I found it difficult, because even though I take steps to try and keep myself fit, honestly, I live in London, so unless I live in a mountainous region, I'm really not going to have that level of fitness. So I was, I was aware that I needed to be thinking about time, but mostly I was thinking the only thing that needs to happen today is I get to the top of the mountain and I get down to the bottom of the mountain. That's my plan for today. And I have to achieve that because that's what I came here for. I mean, I spent, I spent money on flights, hotel, all these different things that came together, organisation, time off of work, and all these things that do affect the way that you think and that really don't measure against danger that you're putting yourself in. But those are all the thoughts that are going through to my mind and why I really, really wanted to get to the top. And the further you climb up a mountain, the more effort you've put into it, and the more you need that effort to pay off. The more money, the more effort, and the more stress you put yourself under, you just need an achievement from that. That was my mindset. The counter view would be, it doesn't matter what you've put into it, you need to still take your life out of it. So the second guy that was on the mountain with me was a guy that was about my same age and maybe a few years older. He started way behind me. I'm sure I was on the. I got up to the halfway point and I could see him starting. You can see down to the bottom quite easily for a lot of the starting climb. He was climbing at a ferocious pace and he caught me up really, really quickly. And he was Italian. He could speak some French. I could speak some French. I can't speak Italian, he couldn't speak English. So we were kind of trying to barter some communication in this pseudo-French that we were both kind of like not quite sure what we were meaning. But ultimately he was a really, really nice guy. He took some pictures for me on the mountain. I think I took a picture of him. I've definitely got a picture of him somewhere. He walked with me for at least 45 minutes when I could see that he could have easily bombed up the mountain and the pace that he caught up to me in. And it was really nice, even though, we weren't able to have like a full-on discussion. There's that camaraderie that you get in any kind of mountainous or natural environment where people are much more friendly, much more open, much more willing to help. Even if you don't have the same language, you both have the same goal and you both have the same mindset towards what you're doing. So that was a really great part of it. I did start to get some problems with my feet at this point. The trekking boots that I have that are designed for winter mountaineering and crampon compatible are bloody killer. I was starting to limp a little bit, and that was the difficulty. I was already too slow, and that slowed me down much, much more. He got frustrated, I could see. So I said, go ahead. I mean, you don't have any you've just met me. You don't have any obligation to walk up the mountain with me. Like, please go ahead. I can see you want to. And I can see what I think is the summit. And it's this really cool cross on a little plinth. It's really pretty. It's glittering in the sun. And I can see it up above me. And I'm like, fuck yeah, that's the summit. Okay, I'm going to make this. I'm going to do this. It didn't even look that far. He went ahead and he went off out of sight because there's a few more twists and turns in the last top section where it's not so easy to see straight up. And I carried on my own, still semi-limping, but mostly fine. I mean, I could carry on. I was so focused on that cross and I got up there. That's nowhere near the top. Nowhere near. And I don't know how I misjudged that. I really would like an altimeter or something to be able to show where I am on the mountain. That would be amazing. But as I don't have that, I just made an assumption that this cross was the summit. And there were people sitting around having tea and, people that I didn't realise were up there that must have stayed up there. So at least 3 or 4 people sitting around this cross. And it was such a change from the mountain that I'd experienced so far. It was like a little tea party sitting by this cross. And they invited me to come over and sit with them and have a cup of tea with them. But I was mostly in a state of despair because my feet hurt, I was tired, and I thought that I was at the summit. And I looked up like, oh my god, there's still so much more to go. And I was like, right, stop moaning, come on, let's do it. I was like, right, I'm going. And this was the bit in which it started to get really, really sketchy. I was walking along this path so narrow that every time I took a right step, my foot would skitter down a snow slope. Yes, I had my crampons on by this point. I had my ice axe out by this point. On the left-hand side, there's a snowbank going up, a sharp angle up. On the right, there's some ice and some gravel, and not an insignificant, massive drop. And I just didn't see it. I was standing on it. I can't stop my foot from slipping constantly and keep on leaning to the left and keep on righting myself. And every single time that I did that, if I hadn't have righted myself, I would have pitched it down 3,500 meters of mountain. And I wasn't thinking about that at all. The disappointment of the full summit and the determination to reach the true summit, and I was only looking up, and that's all I wanted to do. I didn't take into account the fact that I don't have that much experience with winter skills. I've taken a course and I've learned, and I've done winter scrambling, but this kind of condition, if I'd have slipped to the right, what am I going to do? I can't break myself on a sheet of glass, which is essentially what that ice sheet is like. It's just a smooth sheet. And then I saw the second guy, the young kind of guy, same age as me, coming back down from the summit, and he came up to me relatively quickly. He descended really quickly, and up to me, skidding along this tiny path, desperately trying to move towards the summit, slowly, far too slowly. And he stood in my way, and there's such a small pathway that I can't get past him. And he said, stop, you can't stop. And he couldn't say any more than that, and obviously because of the language barrier, I don't think he could think of what else to say. I was like, you know, there's time pressure. Can you please, maybe, yes, you're very kind. Yes, thank you for your concern. Just, can I get past? Can I just please get past? Because you're kind of in my way. He's talking at me. He's talking Italian at me. He's talking occasional French at me. But at this point, I'm so het up. I'm not understanding. I'm not comprehending. I'm just thinking, why is this guy standing in my pathway? And just stopping me from getting to the summit. That's where I need to get to. And then he said, you'll slip, you'll fall. Look. And he pointed up, and then he pointed down to where I'd kept skittering my foot. And he said, the sun is turning. And you can see him trying to formulate the words in English to get through to me. He said, you'll slip. And I didn't realise at the time what he was trying to say was simple. That as soon as the sun moves across that area of the mountain, all the semi-soft snow, all the kind of manageable ice conditions, you can't stand up on that anymore. You can't balance, you're going to fall. Unless you're tied into an anchor, you can't manage in those conditions, which is why everybody else got up there in a timely manner, and I was the last one to get up there. And I just didn't comprehend it at all at the time. And he stood in my pathway for about 3 minutes, and I was so frustrated that I was balling up my fists. I didn't want him to think I was rude, but I was fuming. I was like, who is this guy who thinks he can come and tell me what I should do? I've done a lot of work to get here. I learned some winter skills. I feel like I've done so much to try and achieve this goal. I didn't take it lightly. I did everything that I thought was sensible. And it's not like I think that I'm some kind of master of climbing or trekking, because I'm far from it. But I felt like I'd done enough effort to achieve this. I thought, it's 20 minutes. Look, 20 minutes there and back. I could make this. And eventually, after me obviously wanting him to move, he moved. He stepped up onto this slidey slope on my left and managed to break himself there for a second whilst I went past. And I walked past 4 or 5 steps and my foot slipped again. And I only just caught myself. And then I realised what he was saying. And I can't believe the stupidity of what I was doing. And I turned around, I turned back. And those few steps back were so scary. It was so slippery going down rather than going up this slope. I could barely hold on to the slope. I was leaning on my axe the whole way. And I saw what I could have gotten myself into. And it got back to him, and I was so fucking ashamed of giving up that I burst into tears. And I was really disappointed with myself. And I knew in that moment that I turned that was me giving up, that was me saying, I can't do it in time. It's going to be so dangerous for me to come back. And it was only confirmed with the difficulty that it took me to retrace that small amount of steps to him. And he like patted my shoulders and he said, bravo, bravo, bravo. And I think he really meant it, because the strength of that feeling that says, get to the top, you've put so much into this. It's overwhelming. It's very hard to get over in your mind, and I'm so glad that I did, because those conditions were past what I was experienced for, past what I was able to do, and I realised it. And I needed to do more training, and I still do need to do more training, always. He helped me back down to the point with the cross, where it was safer ground, and he was comforting me also, because, like a little girl, I was bawling, partly the physical exertion, partly the lack of sleep, partly the disappointment, and even though I was bawling my eyes out, he was still congratulating me and saying that he felt that it was a good decision, obviously in a kind of broken English kind of way, because we didn't speak the same language. So from that point, I was able to make my own way down. It's back to softer, more manageable snow and gravel, which you can obviously get down by orientating your feet in the correct way. And got to the bottom, and I'm here today to tell the tale and to realise how much that feeling can grab you and how dangerous that feeling is. The number one priority is your life. You enjoy what you're doing, you learn from what you're doing, you remember and grow from what you're doing, but you come out alive. You come out alive, because otherwise, what are you going to do with the memory of what you did? That's the lesson, I think, that I learned that day. And I'm so grateful to the guy that helped me. and to the guy, you know, who stopped me from going further, who stopped my own stupidity. So thank you so much for watching my second vlog post. Please tell me what you liked and what you didn't like about my style of presentation, or any lighting issues, or anything that you feel could be improved. And also please tell me if you have any countries that you want to hear about. I might have been there, then please let me know and I'll try and do a story time on one of those. As promised, I wanted to just let you guys know about a book that's amazing, Into Thin Air by Jon Krakauer. He's a journalist that went up in 1996 with the expedition, and as you guys may know, it didn't turn out entirely well. That's a combination of many factors, including experience, difficult attitudes, personality clashes, and the environment itself, obviously. I really recommend you give it a read. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.